Welcome to the Taking Care of Tutu podcast. I'm your host, Meg Obanoff. We're so happy today to have Pam Teal on our show. She is an escrow officer with Fidelity National Title and Escrow. Did I get that right?
Yeah,
Okay, welcome, Pam. Thanks so much for coming.
you're welcome. Aloha.
So I thought we could start out with what is escrow, because not everyone who's listening will have bought or sold a home before. And also, if they're not in Hawaii, they might not have escrow the same way we do. So why don't you talk a little bit about what you folks do?
Thanks. Well, an escrow company is a neutral third party. We're a source of holding the funds for the buyer when they first decide to purchase a home. We're also the company that follows, make sure the instructions that are in writing between the listing agent, selling agent, buyer, and seller are followed till we have the closing date in hand. And at the time when we are finally at the position of closing, the parties do sit down, sign documents, and then we have them recorded. So basically, we are the neutral third party taking mutual instruction.
So we've heard some stories about people who they find out that someone else is on title to their house and it was done by a fraudulent deed, like someone just made a deed and forged someone else's signature. Have you seen any of that happening here in Hawaii?
We are starting to see a little bit of it now. Actually, there was the case on Oahu that two people were able to do it on several properties. So what we are seeing, I can go a little bit of history for you.
Yeah, please.
This circumstance has been happening, and it's been starting at least 10 years ago, if not sooner. It happened, and where it seemed to zoom in on was the elderly people that had properties that either they didn't live in, some of them did, or the fact that they were free and clear or vacant land. So that was where it started. It did happen, seemed more on the mainland. Florida was a very hot spot for a while. It seemed to tapered off, and now it's all over the country. But at that time, they were literally transferring properties by forging someone's name, getting IDs to match that forgery, using notaries that are in their pocket, pretty much, to do the services and then record the documents. And because these properties are free and clear, no one's looking to see if their mortgage payment's been made or the taxes. So that's what has started it. And so what has transpired because of it is now into the stage where we're all looking to make sure that every document that is executed is done properly with the right sources, and we have that in place.
How does it usually come to light? How does someone find out that they've been a victim of deed fraud? Because they probably don't know it when it happens. And like you said, there's not a mortgage, so there's not a lender on that transaction. So how, like, is it when someone wants to sell and they realize someone else's name is on the title, or how do people find out?
Well, a couple things. The unfortunate part is if you definitely have someone that has deeded the property over, their intent is to sell that property and turn it and make money off of it. So that means you probably have a knock on the door where somebody's saying, "You're in my home. I need you to leave," because you're no longer the owner, having no idea that that's happened.
And then we just think that's a joke, probably.
Yeah,
Right.
you would definitely tell them to leave the porch, but so then you have to get an attorney and find out what happened and how it happened.
Are there any other like movements that you've heard about? I heard that there was a legislative proposal here in Hawaii that was permitting the Bureau of Conveyances to revoke if they found out that it was fraudulent, revoke the deed. Have you heard anything about that?
Not yet. No.
Yeah, I haven't heard. I don't know the details of it. I just heard about it. I think you could also maybe try to make stronger notary requirements is another idea that I've heard, or that like give authority at the Bureau of Conveyances for them to flag suspicious recordings.
They were talking about the fact is that notaries, if their seals are used out of a location where they're normally stationed out of, like if I'm on Maui and all of a sudden there's a notary in Nebraska,
Uh-huh.
okay, there's something, or another part of the state, and
Yeah.
you'll notify the notary that there's something's going on. Are you notarizing somebody in a different part of the state? So
Hmm.
that it hasn't passed off yet. It hasn't gone through to where there's any kind of checkpoint.
Okay. This is kind of scary stuff, Pam.
It is. It's
Yeah.
yeah, we should be. It's unfortunate because there's a crook, there's a way, and
Yeah.
you don't know what they're going to come up with and how extensive it is. When this first started and we heard about it, it was the elderly, and we thought maybe that this things would help to get that to stop. And now it's just blown up to where every state is being affected by it. I was in Nevada for a few years, and I was sitting and getting my nails done. And there was a real estate
Mhm.
agent sitting beside me. And we just started talking about conversations. And she said, the scariest thing she had is a gentleman that she had tried to sell a property, vacant land for 1.2 million. And he decided the last minute, I don't really want to sell it. And then a year later, the real estate agent contacted her and said, I noticed that you tried to sell this property a year ago. I've been contacted by the seller and he wants to sell it for 750,000. So it's half the price, right?
Yeah.
And the real estate agent says, I don't think that's him. She goes, he's a friend of mine. He wouldn't be one just to call another real estate agent. So she called him. And sure enough, he wasn't selling the property. There was the crook right there. And the real estate
And
agent,
is that why they dropped the price so much because they're just trying to get it done really fast?
absolutely dumping as fast as possible at a remarkably low price. And people are going to try to grab it because, of course, it's a great deal.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be a felony, right? Because you're forging someone's and you're stealing the property, and the amount of money involved has got to make it a felony, right? So the consequences are pretty high if you're caught, right?
Yeah.
It's not a misdemeanor.
No, it's not. It's definitely a federal offense. Yes.
Oh.